All right, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tea with Doug G. If you don't know me, my name is Doug Gooden, and y'all, this week I am so very excited because I have got two incredible guests. I have Miss Caroline Chester and Miss Katie Fisher. Oh my gosh, Katie, your name on this says Carrie. I just realized that.
I'm your mother.
So I am
So
very sorry about that, Katie. I this is live, and I just realized that, so we're just gonna roll with it. But Carol and Katie, why don't y'all take just a second, tell the folks who you are, what you do, and all that jazz.
Carrie, you want to start?
Yeah, so I'm Carrie Fisher. Isn't that the actress for
Princess Leia.
Princess Leia?
Yeah.
What an honor! What an honor!
Wow. Is that what you do for a living?
Yes, Jedi. Wait, she wasn't even a Jedi. Never mind.
She was a Jedi. She was a Jedi.
She was a Jedi.
She was a Jedi.
Jeez, Caroline. Do you ask us to tell about ourselves?
Yeah. Just introduce yourselves.
Oh, okay. I'm actually Katie Fisher. Nice to meet you. I am first year adult, also known as a freshman adult. So we're working our way up. Graduated from Georgia Southern with International Studies. Super fun, good times. Would recommend. And now I work here at the UGA BCM, and that's also a great time, and we love that. There's more to me than that, but that's a good introduction.
Hello, my turn. My name is Caroline Chester. I'm also a first year adult / freshman adult. It is fun. What else? Oh, I went to Georgia College in Milledgeville, Georgia, and I studied rhetoric, which is basically public speaking and communications, just as a explanation there. And I also work at the BCM at UGA as an intern, and it is a grat Tim. We love it.
And they were roommates.
They
are roommates. I thought about sending in some questions about the fact that y'all are roommates, but then I didn't. All right. Well, we're about to get into questions. However, Katie, I do just have a message that was sent to you from the folks on social media. Miss Macy Norton just wanted to say, Katie, I miss you, and I hope you're doing well, little angel neighbor. So, Macy, thank you for those kind words, and Macy is watching. Hi, Macy. But yeah, without further ado, y'all, let's get into some questions, okay? So first things first, y'all are roommates, so I would imagine that y'all know who's the better cook in the relationship and everything like that. But I do want to know, what are y'all's favorite recipes to cook as roommates?
So I just don't really cook. I don't like it. That's my main reason I don't cook. Mostly because when you're cooking for one or even two, like the portion is always wrong, always. And then you have so many dishes afterwards. I just can't justify it most of the time. But anyway, besides the point, I usually like to make anything with shrimp. And so Katie actually has grown me a lot in my cooking because I'll watch her like take a regular store-bought like sauce and like make it all fancy, and so I've started trying to kind of do that. And that, I don't know, that's my favorite recipe that I make, that I'm capable of making, is like a can of sauce with extra stuff in it.
A can of sauce with extra stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
Katie, do you have a favorite recipe? Also, real quick, I'm just gonna throw this one out there because Ben is gonna call me out on it. Yes, I am misspelling all kinds of things tonight. Because recipes is misspelled, Katie's name is misspelled. Y'all, look, I had my wisdom teeth taken out on Friday. We're still struggling just a little bit, but we're doing the thing. Katie, favorite recipe?
Favorite
Yeah.
recipe? I really like Cajun pasta, like with like a creamy sauce and chicken. That's one of my favorite things to make, and I also love grilled salmon.
Do you do crispy skin on the grilled salmon?
I do not.
Okay. All right. That's cool. It's to each his own. All right. So great. favorite recipe out the way. First question. Now, kind of staying on this food train. A friend of mine and Carol's, Samuel Caleb Jimenez. He sent out a question which I think just needs to be asked, which is what is your favorite kind of cheese and
Mm,
why?
mm. That's a
So
good one.
so yeah, either of you can take that. But favorite kind of cheese and why?
Me or you?
I can go.
Go ahead.
So I kind of like Gouda. It's pretty good.
Okay.
I think it's a Gouda choice, and I have a lot of other cheese plans. Ask me about them later.
Are they
Mm.
cheesy?
Oh wow, wow! I did not expect the amount of puns that would be in this episode. Uh, oh no, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. We love a punny episode. Uh, Carol, favorite cheese.
Colby Jack, because you get the best of both worlds. Yes, because I'm jacked, but also because you just get the best of both worlds. You get some yellow, you get some white. I always get that on my spicy chicken sandwich at the chicken fillet, and it
Mm,
helps bring down the spice. It's just so good. You put it in
I got
anything.
that.
Yeah.
I got that. Colby Jack is solid choice. All right. So this is a question that was sent in, and I think it really just speaks to a true problem facing our world and our society. Katie, would you consider yourself a little bit of a coffee snob?
Yes.
All right, Carol, would you consider yourself not that?
I don't know if coffee snob is appropriate because I don't know as much about coffee. So I
Hmm.
love coffee, but I'm not as knowledgeable. So I would say probably not a snob.
Okay. Okay. So this is what I'm curious about. How does one either become a coffee snob or tolerate a coffee snob? Because as someone who has a lot of friends who are coffee snobs, it's a thing that needs to be kind of tolerated. So I'll let Katie discuss her process for how she became one, and then Carol, how do you live with a coffee snob?
Well, becoming one, a great way to become a coffee snob is one, to try good coffee. Two, a good way to become a coffee snob is to work at a coffee shop. Everyone I know who's
Mm.
worked at a coffee shop usually becomes a coffee snob. So yeah, I think that two of those things are pretty big factors in it. It's finding the right places. I actually have like a bunch of my fancy coffee here in our apartment. And there was at one point where I was making coffee for people, but they kept putting creamer and sugar in it. So I changed the coffee
I can attest
to
to
less
that.
good coffee.
Yeah, I can attest to that too because she's made me coffee and I put creamer in it, and I've gotten the death stare from Katie before.
Oh, yeah, that did happen. You were one of them. You were one of them.
So Carol, how do you live with it?
You know, I just choose to be extremely confident and self assured in the fact that I just am not a snob about coffee. Snob has such a negative connotation.
Mm.
I just like don't drink it black. I just have never liked it black. And honestly, to like appreciate coffee, you have to be able to drink it black. So honestly, yeah, the most I've ever had to endure is Katie's remarks about like creamer or sugar, and she's kidding usually. But one thing I will give, I think I make it harder for Katie because not only do I prefer coffee with creamer and sugar, but I actually prefer powdered creamer over like dairy creamer, to the point where it's like even if dairy creamer is available, I prefer powdered. And that I think cuts deeper even than the fact that
I don't know if that's ever been said by anyone on
It,
planet Earth.
it's one, an outrage. Two, despicable.
Mm.
Absolutely. Three,
yes.
Who does that?
Hit me with that.
I know that Ben Tankersley is in the comments, and Ben is also a coffee snob, so I'm very excited to hear or see what he has to say on the subject. But yeah, so basically what I'm hearing is that the coffee snob relationship is very much so like the snob calls the shots. The person who is not just kind of is either tolerated or enrages them constantly. So yeah, I got you. All right, so y'all, so you are both 1 year out of college, and we are rapidly approaching graduation for this year. And something that I always love asking people who are about to graduate or have just recently graduated is when you were graduating, what was your least favorite thing to be asked by the people around you? And either one of you can take this.
It's the what are you doing after you graduate for me? And then when you tell them the condescending tone of whatever comes next. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, even more so than like, what are you doing after you graduate? Like the internship was my answer. You know what I mean? So that's, I mean, I think it's exciting to tell people, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the BCM internship and I'm gonna be at UGA and all these exciting things. For me, it's more so the, well, what do you want to do with your life question. Like that can be annoying sometimes just because you answer it all the time when you're a senior. But even more annoying than that is the, what are you going to do? What do you want to do with that? Like after the internship, like, what is your dream job? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a child. How am I supposed to know? I just got out of school. I have no life experience. Like I don't know. And so usually I tell people, I have no idea. And they just kind of look at me and I'm like, that is my answer. That's all I have. So
yeah, I got that. And kind of going off that, the fact that obviously y'all have been the interns for BCM. Now not called interns, campus missionaries, I believe is the official term at the start of the new year. But something that I am curious about, question from Ben Tankersley, is how did y'all decide that you wanted to be an intern for BCM? And again, either one you can start.
Yeah, I can start this one. So I kind of decided with literally no prior thought or consideration. So I got to senior year and was thinking, what do I want to do? And looking around at some jobs, and I recently applied to a different position and thought, man, I really wish there was an organization that I already love that I could go and work for. And the BCM was basically my major in college. And so I thought, cool, I'll ask my campus minister. And so I talked to him and he said, give me your resume, give me some references, and I'll put your name in. And it was literally as simple as that. I didn't have to apply. I got interviewed later. And then honestly, like, this is sort of funny. The Lord really put me here on purpose because it was sort of my safety, which sounds so horrible to say, but like, I wasn't necessarily like, oh, this is for sure my passion and my calling. I just was thought it was to be cool to do. And then it was the only option. At the end of the day, I was like, okay, like very clearly I'm supposed to be at the internship. And so, yeah. And also a fun fact, Katie might also mention this. We don't actually get to apply for a specific school. So when you apply for the internship, you just sort of trust that the Lord is going to put you where he wants you. And so that's a big faith step. And I definitely feel like the Lord had very clear plans for me, specifically at UGA, and for this internship. So I'm very thankful to be here. But
yeah.
So mine's kind of a long story, or at least it took me a long time. So for about 4 years, I had this campus minister named Jerry Johnson. For 2 years, and then I moved up to UGA. So
I'm familiar with Mr. Johnson.
Yes. Yeah, he's amazing. And he would tell me, he'd be like, Katie, you got to do the internship when you graduate. And I said, Jerry, I have other things to do with my life. And I'm going to apply to those other things for sure. And I just went through a long period of him even just saying, like, just randomly at different periods of times, he's like, you got to apply for that internship or you're going to be a great intern one day. Just silly things like that. And I was like, oh, whatever, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, look what I am. And then after that, my senior year of college, I had been called to ministry. I knew I was going to do ministry. And I looked at all these other jobs. I looked at doing an FBI internship. I looked at working for nonprofits with anti-sex trafficking companies. I looked for social work programs. So I had like all these different options. I thought about just going into seminary. And then the Lord really convicted me and broke me down to the point where I only applied to this internship, where it was so evident that the Lord had exactly this for me. So December of 2019, I was out of the country, and that's where the Lord really convicted me. And so I sent in my resume from across the world, and I said, "Hey, Joe, I think I'm ready to apply." And he's like, "Great, you're the first one." And I said, "What?" Um, so that was kind of funny too, because I thought I was late in the game. But then I applied, and I really wanted to go to Georgia State, and then I was like, I really want to go to Tech. I'm really sorry for whoever's watching this. But then I ended up at UGA, which was actually like my last one that I wanted. But the Lord had plans, very evidently, very clearly, even just meeting this one. And so that's kind of how I got there.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. So going off of that, coming into this internship, straight out of college, I mean, especially for both of you who were heavily involved in BCM, what do you think has been the biggest benefit of working in collegiate ministry straight out of college? If you could sum it down into one thing, like what do you think is the biggest benefit in doing that?
I wish I could say I'm relevant, but I'm not. I wish I could say I understand the inside jokes and stuff. But I found out the other day what bullying means, and I think I have used it in the incorrect context a couple of times. Definitely laid on the word cap, and that is not cap. Anyway.
That's good.
That's not what helped me. One of the biggest benefits about working in collegiate ministry straight out of college, I think, is understanding what students are going through as decision making. Like there are overall really big decisions students are making about what they want to do with their career, where they're going to go, who are they going to date, some of them who are they going to marry, some of them who, like, how can I be content with where I'm at, and some of them are even looking at moving away to different states, away from their parents, and it's all just such big decisions. And like I went through that for those 4 years. I helped my friends through that, and so now being out of it, I can now help other students who are going through that same hard decision making time, and also telling them it's okay to not know what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's really good. I think kind of similar along the same lines, because we're so close in age to all of our students. We sort of just went through that, and like we're kind of also still going through that. And so it's interesting to sort of see, even though we're like not very far removed from where the students are, like we're sort of just like one step past where a lot of our students are. We have still walked through that season of the what's next. And so we are able to say, I mean, you just heard Katie and I say, yeah, these were not our first plans for our lives. Like we definitely didn't expect to be in this internship, or at least at this campus, even if we were in this internship after college. And so the Lord's plans and his timing are going to probably look different than yours. And even if they are the same, amazing, like enjoy that, because it won't always be that way. But because we're so close to that same season that so many of them are walking through, I think it makes it easier to sort of speak from life experience, and just sort of say, hey, this was me like 6 months ago. Welcome. You know what I mean? Like we kind of know where you're at. And at the same time, I've seen the Lord use students kind of convict me and like show me areas. Okay, like here's where I can grow, and like here's something that the Lord is teaching me as I'm walking with this student through a season. Like now I'm learning things about my own life and my own seasons through that too.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I think that both of you have really exemplified that whole that place as a leader, as not someone who's like, I know more than you, but as someone who's just like, we're kind of going through this together. So I think that that's something that's been very indicative of both of you in your time as interns this past year. So going off of that, because obviously there is that connection between yourselves and current students, but do you ever feel like there is a little bit of a disconnect because you're not fully students, but you're also like you're not Tommy or Jerry, like in your middle to elder years. I'm gonna stop talking. I'm just gonna pull up the question because I am starting to talk myself into a loop. So how does your position as interns for BCM you think most directly affect your ability to witness to and to interact with people not in BCM is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so that is really challenging, and that's part of the challenge of being so close to college students' age. We love our students, and I would consider myself friends with our students, but there's also still that certain level of like distance that we have to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have found it really important to find community outside of the BCM and young adults like around us at our church. We go to Watkinsville First Baptist, and so we have a really great group of friends over there. But specifically, like witnessing, Katie will talk really well about this. She's done really well at this, I think, this year. But it is a challenge because I just said our friend group is from our church. Okay, great. Most of them are believers, and we volunteer at our church, and those are believers, and our students, for the most part, are believers. And so finding pockets of non-believers to witness to, part of my challenge still, and something that I've sort of tried to be proactive about for next year, would be like, where can I find an easier access to non-believers? And maybe that means starting at my own group that plays ultimate frisbee or something like that once a week, or befriending the baristas at Jittery Joe's because I basically live there. Like those simple areas, you have to be very intentional to create those areas for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say the same thing too. Like working in ministry, you have to be extremely intentional with your time and your effort to find places outside of your ministry that you can actually reach people who are not believers. Because inside the church, you have stragglers. Inside the BCM, you have stragglers
For
who
sure.
might not be believers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, I think, our duty as believers to go and find people who are lost and to be intentional with them and to just walk in their lives together. So one of the places where I've been using it as an outreach opportunity is through rock climbing. I really enjoy rock climbing. It's one of my favorite activities. And I just started getting it back into it in January. I was really convicted that I literally have no outlet to reach those who are not believers. I'm around a bunch of believers all the time. And like I said, they're stragglers. It's not like we're not sharing the gospel. But in my own personal life, I was not making that intentional step to reach out to people. So I decided to go back to a hobby I really enjoyed and use that as an opportunity to share the gospel, but also just create friendships that will hopefully lead to sharing the gospel as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, y'all both said it really well. I don't have any commentary on that end. So kudos to y'all for leaving me speechless on that. All right. So kind of winding down, one of the biggest things that that is emphasized, not just in BCM, but I feel like in ministry as a whole, is this need to constantly replace yourself. Like you are in your position for this set time, but if you just sit in that and just do that job for that time and not look to the future, then the position, the job is not going to get done in the future. So what does it look like for the two of you to replace yourselves in your current role? Or what does that look like going forward for you?
I can go first on this one.
Yeah, go for it.
So when I used to work at this amazing coffee shop that made me a coffee snob, called Three Tree, I worked in the back. I baked. I was not a barista. Still can become a coffee snob that way though. My boss would always say, "Set up the next person for success," and that has been actually just really good. I feel like life skills to set up the next person for success. And so for the same way, in this internship role, it is built so that, of course, like we grow as leaders, but we also impact the ministry in a way that somebody else can come alongside the ministry and impact it as well. So one of the ways that I am setting the next person up for success is to mobilize our students to be excited about sharing the gospel, to be and to just be bold witnesses for Christ on campus, in their classrooms. And this is still a work in progress. There aren't as many people, like even within our ministry or within our churches, who are at that point, but they're getting there and they're mobilizing other students. And so that way, like the next intern who comes in will be like, wow, this is amazing. They're hopefully all outreaching. That's the hope, that they're all outreaching.
Yeah.
Or even just something I have is a whole drive for my first year BCM, and I just made my second one today. But on my Google Drive, I have everything. I have all of our events, all the materials we needed. I have our leadership, notes on our leadership, notes on things we didn't do, notes on things we wanted to do, notes on things that went bad. And so that way, hopefully that can set up the next person for success as well. And we were talking about writing a handbook for the next intern about how to handle Tommy.
I have a question that will address that in a moment. But Carol, you.
Yeah. I mean, Katie summed it up really well. I think something that's really important to think about in this internship / missionary opportunity in the future, we're not going to be here forever. Like the max that we are able to do is 2 years. And so I'm super excited to be able to serve even that long. But at the end of the day, like freshmen that we met this year, they're going to have 2 more years after we're gone that they're going to be here. And so, not just freshmen, but every class, it's so important to be pouring into them and developing them, because we will not necessarily have a relationship with the next intern. Like we will not have the next intern here for a month where we can sort of show them the ropes and then let them go. Like they're going to come in and pick up wherever it is that we left off. And so the way that we can best help them and equip them to do well is to equip the students to already kind of know their role, know their job, train them up on like how to welcome that intern really well. Even Katie sort of touched on something with some truth, like learning how to work with Tommy. We have all different personalities, and so sometimes that presents different challenges in the workplace for all of us. And so like navigating those and sort of helping Tommy see, hey, this is how my personality learns or works best. This is how Katie's personality learns and works best. And then for us as well with Tommy's personality. But that sort of helps both him and the students know how best to work with the upcoming intern. And hopefully they get off to a really smooth start right away and the gospel is not hindered because we're all in like a season of transition, you know?
Yeah. And I think you both spoke to this really well, because I've seen 3 different BCM interns come through. Well, technically 4, but 3 different sets. And yeah, it's been really interesting to see how each one has set up things for the group after them. And yeah, it's been really interesting to see how y'all have worked to really integrate yourselves into the ministry. Carol, I mean, like you and I knew each other before you started working for BCM, so that was really interesting for me to get to know you personally and then get to know you sort of professionally. So yeah, it's been really, really cool seeing what y'all have been able to do. So we're wrapping up this conversation. We're coming down to the final question, and I've just got some really quick ones that I'm just gonna rattle off, just to kind of tie this whole thing in a nice little bow. It's a little fun into things. So y'all have been here for a year. Y'all have seen Athens. Y'all have seen everything that the city has to offer. I just gotta know, what is something in Athenian culture, Athens, Georgia culture, that you still just do not understand?
I can start.
Okay, let me hear it.
Listen, I need to preface, I love the Bulldogs. I grew up a Georgia fan. I am a Bulldog fan. I swear Please don't come for me, okay? I just can't. I don't think I'll ever understand planning your whole life or like weekend around like football games. Like that is just like I struggle with that. You know what I mean? Or like the fact that people say go dogs after anything that happens. Like I just didn't go to a college school. Like Georgia College doesn't have a football team. And so I was never in that sort of environment. So I even today people are like, "Oh, I can't do it." I'm just like, "What? What?" Like, what?
So like the whole like don't plan your wedding in the fall like doesn't
That's a
necessarily. Yeah, that's a huge thing.
yes, and
People
never
judge you on that. People judge
yeah,
you on that.
that is something I'm just kind of like I understand it. If you were a student here, I get it, but I just wasn't a student here, and so I struggle with that sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah. Katie?
For me, honestly, it's just the Athens environment. This is the biggest city I've ever been in. Well, technically, I grew up kind of in Detroit, so that's not really true. But that was only for like the first 8 years of my life. So most of it, I lived in like a small town outside of Savannah, and then I went to, you know, Statesboro, where Georgia Southern is. And so when I got here, and I was like, wow, there's two Walmarts. That's a lot. You guys have a Target? Like
Two
that's
Targets
crazy.
now.
Like three Krogers also.
Yeah.
But
6 Chick-fil-A's.
9 Jittery Joes or 8. I can't remember. It's either 8 or
lot.
9. But it's a
Y'all
lot.
y'all have a better idea than I do. And I've been here for 4 years.
It's just it's a bigger city to me, and like I love being in it, but it was definitely a shock. Also game weekends, the
Hmm.
traffic, I have just forgotten each time. So I'm really not ready for this fall because well, that's it for me.
No, no, you ain't ready.
Cool.
Again, been here for 4 years. I'm still not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. UGA, especially during football season, has a different breed of city. All right, last quick questions. I'll let both of y'all just rattle off these three things. But I gotta know. Okay, you've lived together for a year. What is your favorite weird thing about each other? You've worked with him for a year. What's your favorite weird thing about Tommy? And you've lived there for a year. What is your favorite weird thing about the actual BCM building?
Hmm.
Okay, I got this. I got this. Hold on. So
Okay,
favorite
okay.
about Caroline. Oh man, that was actually my least favorite weird thing about Caroline. Hold on.
It was now.
I was gonna say something about the creamer, but it's my least favorite thing about you. Honestly,
Okay, well.
is that you use powdered creamer. um, my favorite weird thing about Caroline is that she loves moose. You know why? Because
She does.
love
She,
moose.
she does.
Moose together. We're just a bunch of moose weirdos. I shouldn't say a bunch. There's only 2 of us, but we have multiple like moose around our house. This is one of 7.
This is Bruce the Moose.
Yeah, we have names for each of them, so it's kind of weird, kind of cute. Can you tell we've lived together? Favorite weird thing about Tommy. This is our favorite weird thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, oh.
He probably won't watch this if that makes you feel any better. So like, I mean,
We still run the risk. You think?
I feel like I
you
have to like tread lightly. Yeah, you say favorite weird thing about me.
This is just super. Like, there's so much that happens in just the day in and day out that I'm like, what? And I'm sure there are things for me that Katie's like, what? This is so random. But like, anytime I ask her anything where the answer might be a number, she says 2. And I don't even know if she knows that, but I know because every time I ask her, like, "Hey, what time is it?" 2. It could be 11:30 at night, and I know for a fact it's not 2 o'clock anything, and she's like 2. Or how long do you think it's gonna take to da 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 2? What? I don't understand. But
is that a conscious choice, Katie, or is it just subconscious?
I think it's become subconscious. It was conscious at first, but now I really just say 2.
Okay, okay, okay. Favorite weird thing about Tommy?
Oh, he likes bubble tea. But not just bubble tea. He gets like the strawberry pink one. And I feel like that's not what you would expect because I was also like, it's like the strawberry milk.
I will say, I feel like this past year, y'all have really opened Tommy's eyes to a number of new a number of new cuisines and things like that. And I've been here for it like the entire time. Um,
Yeah. I don't know if this is a weird thing. Maybe just an entertaining thing. Whenever he plays Polish, he just gets so into it. Like so into it. And it's just really entertaining. It's like he's like 20 again, like hanging out with his bros. It's just really fun. I don't know.
okay.
That's not weird. Or the amount of times he'll say like I hear you. Or like
He does.
or all right, look. Or like listen. You like it just all of his little
Did you hear
Tommy-isms.
that?
Did you hear that? You hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Any of the
All right. And last question. If you have one, favorite weird thing about the actual BCM building that,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, I figured you did. I feel like anyone who's ever lived there, like, has to have something.
So my favorite thing about the actual BCM that is quite weird that not everybody may have noticed is there are some tiny plastic babies spread around inside the building, and some students have found them, but I don't think all of them know about them. The Baby King's doing a good job of hiding them.
He is.
But that's a weird thing about the BCM. I don't know when they started showing up.
I know when the Instagram started
Mystery.
for it.
There's an
for
Instagram?
it. Yeah, there
I should
is.
I want to go follow that. I might already. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I might already follow that. But that's so cool. Dang. Go ahead, Doug. You want to say something?
Oh, no. I was just gonna say, Carol, do you have something about the bee?
Yeah. I hope not everybody is watching this low key, just because I want to keep it a secret. But I'll say it just for the kicks. There's a bathroom
Hmm.
in the kitchen.
There is.
Nobody knows about it. And honestly, why? Because like you have to just be curious enough to open a random door. Not just one random door, but there are two.
Yeah, it's very
So like you
inconvenient.
open one and you're like, oh, there's another door. And so you assume the next door is like terrifying closet, but it's a bathroom. And it's actually kind of a nice bathroom in there. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway.
All right. Well, we have certainly learned a lot about Carol and Katie over the last several minutes. But yeah, y'all, thank y'all so much. Did you have a good time?
Oh yeah, this is
Absolutely.
so fun.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure. Well, everyone, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you to Ben and Macy for once again out commenting my mother. As always, keep up with Brighter Media. We have new episodes of Saying the Team coming out every Wednesday. I don't know what episode's coming out this week, but yeah. And we have new episodes of To the Doug G every Monday night at 9 p.m. But yeah, thank y'all again so much for being on. I had an amazing time. And yeah, until next time, I'm Doug Gooden. That's Caroline Chester. That's Katie Fisher, not Carrie Fisher. And this has been The Tea. Y'all have a fantastic week.
Thank you, you too.